You know who I'm talking about. They're on your friends list, they're watching your stories, but when you click on their profile, it's a total ghost town. Well, today, we're diving into the really fascinating psychology behind these silent observers, the social media ghosts.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? In a culture where just about every moment is curated and put on display for an audience, why would someone consciously choose to just opt out? It's kind of a quiet rebellion against all that noise, and we're going to figure out why.
Okay, so first up, the invisible audience. Before we can really understand the silent observers, we have to get a feel for the world they're being silent in, and it's a world where the default setting is incredibly loud. The default is to share everything.
I mean, just think about your own social media feed for a second. It's this nonstop river of life's highlights, and yeah, even the lowlights. All of it packaged, filtered, and served up for consumption. We've kind of become a culture that documents life, sometimes even more than we actually live it. And right in the middle of all this sharing, there's this huge invisible audience. They're your friends, they're your family, hey, maybe it's even you. They're consuming all the content. They know exactly what's going on, but their own digital footprint? It's basically zero. They're the watchers in the digital shadows.
So what's the deal with them? It's so easy to just jump to conclusions, right? But the truth is, it's way more complex, and honestly, a whole lot more interesting than just saying, oh, they're shy.
Yeah, these are the easy labels we slap on them. They lack confidence, they're antisocial, or maybe they just have a quote-unquote boring life. But when you actually look at the psychology, well, that's just not the whole story. Not even close.
In fact, the reality pretty much flips the script. What we mistake for a lack of confidence is often incredibly high self-control. What looks antisocial might actually be a deep sense of emotional independence. And that so-called boring life, a lot of the time, that's a life being lived in a very real pursuit of authenticity, away from all the pressure to perform.
All right, so let's really get to the heart of it here. What is actually going on inside the mind of someone who makes that choice not to post?
I think this quote just nails it. This isn't a passive thing. It's an active choice. It's about deliberately keeping a private inner world in an age that demands we share everything. It's a form of control. You could even say it's a form of power.
Psychologists have actually pinpointed several key traits that are common among these folks. They tend to have really high self-control and a knack for deep introspection. They're often more emotionally independent, and, this is a big one, they have what's called an internal locus of control. All that means is they get their sense of worth from inside themselves, not from what other people think.
So that endless hamster wheel of comparing your life to somebody else's perfectly curated highlight reel, it just doesn't have the same grip on them. Their self-esteem isn't tied to the number of likes or comments they can get. They're not playing that game.
And this brings us to a really key concept called psychological ownership. Think about a really special memory, one that's just for you. It's the feeling that that experience belongs deeply and personally to you. The moment you post it, you're kind of handing it over for public judgment. For these silent observers, protecting that personal ownership is way more valuable than a few likes.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this. For a lot of people, social media is a platform for identity performance. You're broadcasting a version of yourself. But for those who stay silent, the focus is internal. It's on identity discovery. The journey is inward, not outward.
And what that means is they're consciously resisting this incredibly powerful feedback loop. You know that little buzz you get when notifications start rolling in? That's your brain getting a little hit of dopamine. These apps are designed to be addictive, to keep you coming back for that next hit. Choosing not to post is choosing to step off that neurological treadmill. It's a real act of discipline.
But, this choice isn't just about avoiding the negative stuff. It's also about embracing a totally different, and you could argue much deeper, set of rewards.
And the benefits are pretty profound. Your memories get to stay yours, pure and unfiltered. The relationships you build are based on actual connection, not on digital proof. You get to live your life without the constant, low-level anxiety of performing for an audience. You just get to live.
And this really is the great irony of our digital age, isn't it? These platforms promise us connection, but by stepping away from the surface-level stuff, people often find a much more real, much more profound sense of connection, both with themselves and with the people who truly matter.
The friendships they have are the kind where someone checks in on you because they were genuinely thinking of you, not because they saw you post a sad face emoji. There's a real kind of peace that comes from knowing your life doesn't have to be content, it can just be, well, life.
Now, this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. We have started to confuse being visible with being valuable. And that's one of the biggest traps of the digital age. Your true identity, who you really are, it isn't forged in the pictures you post. It's forged in the unpostable, messy, wonderful private moments of your actual life. So I'll leave you with this question to just kind of chew on. When was the last time you had a moment of pure joy or awe or even sadness, and your first instinct wasn't to grab your phone to document it? When was the last time a moment was completely, totally, and sacredly yours? Something to think about.